Donald Trump is spiraling out of control as he prepares a full surrender to Iran. He's trying to save face right now. That helps explain some of the latest strikes that he's engaged in right by the Strait of Hormuz, using a purported Apache helicopter being hit by a Shahid drone as a pretext. But behind the scenes, Qatar is working as a mediator between the United States and Iran, delivering the framework that Iran has been asking for. I think we're moving closer to seeing basically the U.S. surrender, but Trump's trying to act like it isn't a surrender, and Donald Trump is striking Iran, and Iran is striking back harder and showing that it has the ability to make sure that if Donald Trump thinks he's pulling any stunts before the surrender, Iran is going to punish him. I mean, I'll show you the latest Iranian ballistic missile strikes in response and in retaliation to Donald Trump hitting the Strait of Hormuz. You know the sequence of events, right? So yesterday, during a deranged press conference in the Oval Office, Donald Trump's like, you may want to watch your TV. I'm going to hit him really hard. And then Donald Trump went to Barack Ravid at Axios. And then he went to state regime media, which calls itself Fox. And he said, we're going to do a really big attack on Iran. It's going to be massive. And what ended up happening was Trump and his regime did like an attack for 20 minutes, kind of surgically hitting certain targets by the Strait of Hormuz. And then CENTCOM immediately announced, we're done. This was defensive. We're not doing anything anymore. And Iran was like, okay, well, we're not done. And then Iran struck very strongly in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in other areas nearby as well, where there are American interests. I'll show you in a moment what Iran did. And here's the Iranian statement that they made. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has announced that its missile forces carried out an attack earlier at the Muwafaq Salty Air Base in Jordan, using 12 medium-range ballistic missiles as retaliation for last night's wave of U.S. strikes against Iran, with the attack claiming to have targeted F-35s, F-16s, F-15s, as well as a control center at the Salty Air Base. And Iran claims they successfully hit these targets. CENTCOM lies about everything, so we don't know what's true or what's not true here. But we do have images of some of these strikes in Jordan, in Bahrain, in Kuwait. You can see right here footage of an engagement between American Patriot SAM battery and incoming Iranian medium-range ballistic missiles over Jordan in the morning. You can see here Iranian ballistic missiles that were seen launching towards coalition targets in the morning right there. You can see here some smoke that looks like it's by the 5th Naval Fleet area, by where the U.S. has an air base in Bahrain. You can see over here by Muwafaq Salty Air Base, looks like it was hit by missiles right there. 2 separate locations at the Muwafaq Salty Air Base in Jordan, reportedly being hit by missiles, and multiple strikes in Bahrain, as I noted, right by where the U.S. has its 5th Naval Fleet, and Iran says it successfully struck there. I mean, I'll show you what's going on behind the scenes as well. I mean, Donald Trump posts on social media, no other president has ever been more committed to rebuilding our great military and saving our great country. And now is the time to make it happen for generations to come. I am hereby calling on Republicans in Congress to immediately advance the forthcoming $350 reconciliation bill, which, at the request of our great Department of War, will include the Save America Act. No games, no delays. It's the only path to the full $1.5 trillion military budget. As you know, the Trump family now has partnership stakes in many military companies where they're funneling a lot of money to. And so while Donald Trump says, I love inflation, I don't care about how you're doing, they are diverting $1.5 trillion of your tax money to the military-industrial complex. Donald Trump also posted, last month, I directed our great U.S. military to execute a secret mission to support oil tankers and other commercial ships. I'm pleased to announce this effort has resulted in more than 100 million barrels of oil making its way through the strait. Notably, the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, has no clue what he's talking about. If anybody would know or should know about 100 million barrels, though in the swing of things it's not all that much, but would know about a plan to secretly and covertly bring in 100 million plus barrels of oil, don't you think the energy secretary would know? No, not Chris Wright. Chris Wright admits that he did not know. Here's what he said under intense cross-examination from Congresswoman Amelia Sykes. Play this clip.
Ask you this other question. Are you aware that the United States was taking millions of barrels of gasoline from Iran in the Strait of Hormuz?
We are preventing the flow of Iranian oil through the Strait of Hormuz.
That is not the question that I just asked you. Were you aware that the United States has been taking millions of gallons of oil from the Strait of Hormuz?
Just not sure taking's the right word. We're preventing the flow of it.
Well, thank you. Mr. Chair, if I may, can I play some audio from some comments that President Trump made in the Oval Office? Okay.
The numbers were great.
I don't think we've heard this.
I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out
Let's suspend that,
barrels
please.
of oil. Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran until right now.
Mr. Secretary, it seems like you didn't know about this either. So why would the United States be taking out millions of barrels of oil from Iran?
Well, it's essential that we prevent oil sales from generating revenue for Iran to spend to develop nuclear weapons and oppress
Mr. Secretary, I understand this might be an uncomfortable line of questioning and you don't want to do it, but you are not answering my question. So I'm going to ask you again, and I'm going to hope that you will answer it honestly. Did you know that the United States was taking millions of gallons of oil from Iran?
I'm unaware.
So do you think that the president...
And then Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, also had to admit under cross-examination from Congressmember Subramanian that when he tweeted in March that the Strait of Hormuz was basically open and that Navy ships were successfully escorting cargo ships out of the Strait of Hormuz, that was all one gigantic lie. Watch what he says over here.
You tweeted in March that the U.S. Navy had successfully escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz to ensure oil remains flowing to the global markets. Was that true?
No, that was an error. It was not tweeted by me, but it was by my team that misunderstood something I said, but I take responsibility for it.
What did you say to the team that they misunderstood?
I gave a talk in Colorado about the state of energy and what was going on in the Strait of Hormuz. I said we will restore flows of oil to the Strait of Hormuz using the U.S. Navy if necessary.
Makes this honest mistake.
And then, speaking of one gigantic lie, you had CENTCOM lie and post, the Strait of Hormuz is open. That's what they posted yesterday. The ships are leaving the Strait of Hormuz. That's not happening. That's not what's happening. We would know if that was happening. You had a Democratic Congress member, Himes, who when Democrats take control of the House, will be the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, big important committee. Here's how he answers this question about the 100 million barrels and about the strait being open, which he says it's obviously such a lie. Play this clip.
I guess he's implying millions of their barrels that they are selling at obviously hugely inflated prices to finance the Iranian regime. What do you know about what he's saying there, about that Iran didn't until right now know we're taking millions of their barrels of oil and this 100 million barrels that Trump says he's actually helped get through the strait?
Yeah, well, look, a lot of that is just flat out untrue, right? And remember the record here, right? This war was going to be over in a couple of days. For the last 3 months, the Iranians have been 2 or 3 days or maybe a week or 2 weeks away from striking a deal. So let's just agree that the president has precisely zero credibility on anything that he says about the Iran war. But look, you don't need to be an intelligence expert to understand that in the Strait of Hormuz, you're not moving anything in secret. With a good pair of binoculars on either coast, you can see what's happening, set aside the satellite imagery that people have access to.
Now, going back to the surrender part here, right? Mohammed Ali Shabani explains what seems to be going on behind the scenes as well. Veteran political insider in Tehran with knowledge of Iran-U.S. negotiations, alleges that a draft agreement has actually finally been prepared. Speaking with Awaj Media late on June 10th, the insider said, "The text is ready. It was finalized tonight, explicitly giving credit to Qatar, which has been separately engaging with both Iran and the U.S. to forge a deal. If they can get the final deal approved by tomorrow, it will be initiated." He added, seemingly referring to the Supreme National Council, which gathers Iran's civil and military leadership, and the White House. Spike in Iran-U.S. violence comes amid mixed signaling. Senior Iranian political sources interpreted Trump's decision to conduct the strikes for a second night as reflecting anger with an apparent deadlock in negotiation. While describing Trump as an angry man, the senior source lamented that there appeared to be little cognizance in the White House of how real-world armed confrontations are not a video game. The Iranians are looking at the United States right now under the Trump regime as just weak and pathetic and not even understanding like war. So there is this discussion, again, take it for what it's worth, that behind the scenes Trump is preparing the surrender, but he keeps on like lashing out because he's trying to save face and act like, you know, he's being tough. The deal's 1 day away, the deal's 2 days away, there's going to be a deal. Trust me, a deal's coming. So keep your eye out on that. MAGA Republicans, meanwhile, like Senator Sheehy over in Montana, he says, look, folks, we all know gas prices are high, but it's really an Obama and Biden thing. Like Obama and Biden did it. Let's play it.
Of course they are. And that's why it's been incredibly frustrating to have not just Democrats, but some Republicans in the media from the day this started take the side of a murderous terrorist regime. And they've undermined the president and what's good for this country from the very, very beginning, Laura. And it's been incredibly frustrating to watch. We don't in any way dismiss the inflation numbers, but let's not forget the gas prices we see today, the inflation we see today, those were the gas prices and inflation under Obama and Biden. That was the norm. This is a temporary bump that is a result of us trying to solve a half-century threat that will continue to threaten Americans for generations to come if we don't solve it. I commend the president for having the courage to try to attack this problem that 6 presidents have quite frankly kicked the can on for all the reasons we're now seeing. This is a tough problem to solve.
Then you have Lindsey Graham, MAGA Republican senator, saying we need to unleash Israel to help us destroy Iran. Okay, play it.
Now, this is important. If we can break the straits, if we can break it open and actually force it open, they've lost all their leverage in Iran. If we can keep the economic pressure on, and Bessett's been great on this, we'll break them even further. We should unleash Israel, and we should use military force ourselves if they don't sign a deal right now. So here's what I'm trying.
Then you have MAGA Republican Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, and he's out there saying he wants to see, show me the sexting. I want to see the text sex of Graham Platten. He wants to see Graham Platten sexting. Seems like a kind of a pervy man. Here, play this clip.
This is not normal behavior, and I want to know. I want to see those text messages, the sexting.
And then Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'll do a whole video on Marjorie Taylor Greene. But she calls out, I think, a fundamental thing. Obviously, the Trump regime is covering up the child sex trafficking ring that is the Epstein files. And she knows, like, she was in the movement and she left the movement because they were covering up the child sex trafficking ring. You don't get a more important witness than person who was like a leader in the cult who goes, I had to leave the cult because they're covering up child sex trafficking. I'll go along with all their other crazy stuff, but I can't do the child sex trafficking cover up stuff. And then she says, you know, they're obviously, you know, they're complicit. Trump's complicit in pedo protection. But that's one of the main reasons we're in this catastrophic war in the first place, why there's soaring inflation, why you're suffering, why the American people are feeling so much pain right now, why he's crashing the markets, is to cover up for pedos, man. To cover up a child sex trafficking ring is sick. Well, here, play this clip.
And when you read this report, it says that the vice president suggested having Tucker Carlson interview Ghislaine Maxwell to have her clear the president's name publicly. Do you think that would have been helpful had that gone forth?
Well, Tucker didn't interview Ghislaine Maxwell, did he? So, yeah, the fact that didn't happen should speak volumes for Tucker Carlson. And it also shows the lengths they were willing to go to try to find someone trustworthy to the American people to try to extend this cover up. And the American people just aren't buying it. This has been the top issue ever since it started. It should have never been a fight. It should have been the easiest thing to happen. And I'll point something else out. No one has been held accountable for the Epstein files. Nobody. In other countries, there's people that have been arrested, people that have been forced to step down. Here in America, we haven't seen any justice for the victims. And that's because look who's in charge. They're not being prosecuted. They're not being held accountable. And I think that comes from the top.
There you have it, folks. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks so much for watching. New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.